doing things a little differently this time. And by that, I mean I'm doing a rare first impressions of a thing, because I looked at how long to beat, and this game has at least 30 to 40 hours clocked in for the main story and extras, and I'm currently only have about 6 to 10 in my Steam history. I also forgot to tell y'all what game this is. I'm a clown. This is Marvel's Midnight Suns, the newest game from Firaxis Games, of Sid Meier's various output and modern XCOM fame. I'm going to be going over my time with the first 10 or so hours, the gameplay, structure, slight bits of the story, all that good stuff. I'm Mahmood N, and this is my first impression of Marvel's Midnight Suns. The narrative so far surrounds those wacky fascists Hydra waking up an incredibly powerful demon named Lilith, who then proceeds to sort of mind control all of them into a personal army. This leads Iron Man and Doctor Strange, and some other Avengers, throwing in with the Midnight Suns, a group of more magically inclined, and in this case, younger, heroes led by the caretaker, Lilith's sister. This leads to the resurrection of you. Yes, you. You play as the Hunter, Lilith's child who defeated and sealed her away 3 centuries prior, and was rewarded with a big case of the dead. With your mother's return seemingly undoing the very fabric of reality, you agree to lead this group of heroes against Hydra and their new demonic master. It feels like there's a decent amount of mystery and stakes, but I wish it leaned into the Eldritch Horror aspects a bit more. I think I've noticed a bit with the Avengers, more so than the Suns themselves, is that they kind of feel like they sort of tie into and try to emulate how they're portrayed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And while that makes sense, since it's the most popular media property in the world, people know who these characters are, and you gotta get that hashtag brand synergy going, it can lead to them feeling like weird, uncanny valley duplicates at times. It's probably just me and my weird brain, and it'll probably go away with time, but it just stuck out to me in a way that takes me out of the experience a bit. Your mileage may vary, but the non-Avengers characters are great. Blade is Blade, which is to say he couldn't be any more rad unless he straight up said this.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
I'm a fan of the Runaways, so it's nice to see Nico and things. I really like Magic because a sword fighter who can create portals and has access to an entire dimension is a rad idea. And I went with Robbie Reyes as Ghost Rider, aka the best version of Ghost Rider. The structure so far has been to simply wake up, do research projects to advance your characters, do hero operations to get new abilities for said heroes, spar with them to train and give them new bonus modifiers and missions, and go on missions, followed by hanging out with them at night like it's a BioWare game. It's a nice rhythm, and the entirety of the first 6 or so hours of the game, aka a good chunk of my playtime, is spent tutorializing all these systems. It can be a lot to keep track of, and you can only do so much in a day, but as someone who's into Persona, I can juggle in-game responsibilities better than my real-life responsibilities. The first thing you are noticing in this footage here is that this is not XCOM with Marvel characters, and there are cards. That's because Marvel's Midnight Suns is a turn-based tactics game that uses said cards to represent each character's powers and abilities. I think it might be for the better, because what with the dice roller and the percentages and the generally being beholden to RNGesus, it would probably feel super bad to have a 99% chance to hit as Iron Man or Captain Marvel and have a completely whiff on a random Hydra mook. But yeah, you can go into combat missions with up to 3 heroes at a time to fight off escalating numbers of mostly Hydra soldiers, sometimes demons, but mostly Hydra soldiers. One of the main things I've noticed when the game switches to this style of tactical combat is how each character has their own dedicated niche in combat, and this really adds the depth of team building. While the story missions make it mandatory to at least take the Hunter with you, side missions can be where you flex your team's muscles. Iron Man can redraw cards to give his abilities escalating bonuses. Doctor Strange is all about supporting the team by building up heroism, the game's resource for using ability cards and displacing enemies. Captain Marvel charges in, taunts, and goes full binary mode to both deal and withstand a metric ton of punishment. Magic uses her portals to manipulate enemy placements on the battlefield. Spider-Man focuses on playing around the environment to deal with bad guys. Ghost Rider uses his chains and souped-up demonic muscle car for max area of effect damage. Nico can use her staff and blood magic to support the team by healing, adding bonuses to their damage, and unleashing swarms of crows on enemies, and the Hunter can do literally anything within a trifecta of damage, tanking, and healing. And these are just the heroes I have access to. I don't even have any of the others that are unlocked through later in the story, or through DLC. Although I will admit, I am a little salty that Venom is DLC despite the fact that he's a recurring boss, and that feels like it could have been an easy slam dunk for narrative progression. DLC practices aside and back to the gameplay, the interplay of how the cards each character has and how they are mixed and matched with each other, the enemies, and the environments all make for an incredibly dynamic combat system, and some of the most fun I've had in a tactics game in a very long time. My one gripe is that it can get a bit overwhelming at the start, but like I mentioned earlier, it eases you into it well enough. Marvel's Midnight Suns is just the kind of game I'm most looking for. Strategy side of it is, if the early hours didn't go by, the best gameplay featuring Marvel's roster of heroes outside of Ultimate Alliance and Marvel vs. Capcom. I'm definitely going to be sticking with it. I'm also probably going to be giving it the full what's good about treatment, that's for sure. I'm Mahmoud Aden, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.